In many ways, as we think of the great accomplishments, enormous progress that we have been able to make as a result of his life, his vision, his work, not alone, but with so many others, we've come a long way. We are here today standing on their shoulders. But I think we can all agree as we tackle this topic, understanding the fierce urgency of now, we have a long way to go. We are still faced with many challenges as Dr. King and generations even before him were faced with. We are faced with the criminal justice system that is in need of massive reforms. We are faced with communities that are in great need of economic empowerment. We are faced with the need for continued efforts to ensure affordable health care for all. We need to strengthen our educational system, not only for our pre-K and elementary and middle and high school, but even college. I'm sure all of us can agree that we need to make college more affordable for all. Why do you say that, Pastor? Because after going through all of the labor of securing our degree, we need to be able to enjoy the profits of our career without simply paying back student loans. We've got to create more jobs. We've got to revive confidence in our government. If you haven't checked the news lately, we've got to revive confidence in our government who struggles to simply tell small truth. We've got to preserve the rights of all humans, regardless of the differences that they may have and preferences that they may have that we may not approve of. We've got to provide a clear path to citizenship for those coming into our nation, even into our state, knowing that our forefathers came into this nation both voluntarily and many involuntarily. And unfortunately, we have a president in the White House that is so overly consumed with building a wall instead of bridges that he is willing to shut down the government, which is affecting over 800,000 workers and thousands of others who depend on quality social services. And you may be sitting here under the sound of my voice asking, why should that matter to us? Why does it matter to us as college students? It matters because Dr. King and others who made great impact through the civil rights movement, they were our age. They were part of our age range as they began to sense the clarion call, the fierce urgency of now. And they decided we cannot wait, we must act now. In fact, I am here today because at the age of 6, I heard God's fierce urgency of now. He called me to preach, and at the age of 19, I began my pastoral journey. And I am here today to encourage you as college students and even as the community. We must hear the fierce urgency of now and begin to make progress. As we have come a long way, we must move forward into our marvelous future. As we now hear the fierce urgency of now, with all of these urgent concerns facing us, it begins with every single person under the sound of my voice discovering how unique you are. You see, it was Dr. King who said, no one really knows why they are alive until they know what they died for. It's important to find something so valuable to yourself. It's important that you find something that you're so passionate about, that you look within and discover the gifts and the talents that you were born in and begin to work on strengthening them, refining them, and giving it your absolute best to make a difference in this world. It's Dr. King who said, everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. It is important that as we go back to discovering what we are here to do, that every day we wake up understanding how unique and special we are. Take those gifts and talents and give it all that you have. Dr. King said, if the lot falls upon you to be a street sweeper, you should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all of the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. What am I saying? Give it all you have. Do your best. And that is the beginning in hearing this fierce urgency of now clarion call, but understanding even more, you can't do it by yourself. None of the progress that we have made as a people, as a society, was accomplished solely by Dr. King. He worked with individuals with the common goal to make a greater difference. You know, Dr. King said, we are caught in this inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. What Dr. King was saying is that we are all related. We are tied together. And the problem of our society is that we become so caught up in being our best selves. We've been so caught up in this idea of individuality that we've forgotten those who are around us. We must reclaim our sense of community. We must reclaim our sense of unity. Even as you are here on this college campus, you must understand that if you are rising to the top, but no one is there with you, that's a lonely journey. But when I help you and you help me, we will begin to see each and every person in this world become successful. And we will see ourselves moving forward into the place that Dr. King envisioned. Dr. King put it simply as this: we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. At the heart of our nation's problem is not so much of equal pay, gender inequality, not so much of the external problems that we see on the news and in the newspapers. It begins within. Our nation has a heart problem. Our nation has a love problem. And so I encourage you in this room to begin to love again. You can't move forward into the fierce urgency of now holding on to the hurt of yesterday. Move forward and allow God to heal you. Allow God to heal us so that we can achieve the greatness. Dr. King had this amazing way of working with individuals. He wasn't just a magnificent messenger. He was a master mobilizer. He wasn't just a prolific preacher and prophet. He was an excellent planner. We see over 50 years ago, individuals who were leaders of the NAACP, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and leaders and individuals from other organizations, they put their resources and abilities together, and that's why we were able to see the massive change that has gotten us to where we are today. Dr. King said, I do think there must be a centralized leadership in the sense that say in our struggle, all of the leaders coordinate their efforts, cooperate, and at least evince a degree of unity. What would happen on this campus if all of the leaders of organizations got together and wanted to make ASU a better place? What if all of the pastors of churches and community organizations got together? What a difference we could make. Dr. King knew that success required a strategy. Haven't asked you to do this, but look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, success requires a strategy. We are here in Montgomery, where Montgomery has shown the world that success required a strategy. Montgomery had a strategy. Over 380 days they carpooled, they refused to ride the city buses, and they made a difference because success requires a strategy. Selma had a strategy. They said, we're not going to let anyone turn us around. They were determined to make it not only across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they were determined to make it to Montgomery, to make a statement to the nation, to make a statement to the world, because success requires a strategy. You do know I'm a preacher, and the Bible does show us instances where success had a strategy. You remember the children of Israel? When they wanted the Jericho walls to fall down, they implemented a strategy. Marched around the walls 6 days, 6 times. On the 7th day, let out a shout, and the walls came tumbling down. Jesus and his disciples, with 5,000 hungry men, not including the women and the children, they developed a strategy. As loaves and fish came down from heaven, they made everyone sit down in groups, and everyone was fed, including those that served the meal, because success requires a strategy. So if success requires a strategy, what will be ours? With strategy, there is success. There's this moment where we can work together to see a better tomorrow. Dr. King had this view of a great utopia, a beloved community, a place where people were working together and praying together and achieving and attaining greatness together. Most times when we hear of utopia, we think of something out there, never really achievable in a real world. But Dr. King's beloved community was for him a realistic, achievable goal that could be attained by a critical mass of people committed to and trained in the philosophy and methods of nonviolence. Dr. King's utopia was based in the faith that where they were at that present time was not the end of their story. He said, my brothers and my sisters, in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. He had a dream about this nation. He saw this nation living up to the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. He saw Georgia as a place where sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners would be able to sit down at the table of brotherhood. He saw Mississippi as an oasis of freedom and justice. He saw his 4 little children as being judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And yes, he saw Alabama too. He saw Alabama as a place where little black boys and little black girls could walk together with little white boys and little white girls as brothers and sisters. Now, brothers and sisters, if we're going to reach our future beyond this now moment with the urgency of now, but excited and looking forward to with faith what awaits us in the next, we must have faith. Look at somebody and say, you got to have faith. Dr. King did not have this sit in the reclining chair or on the sofa type faith. He had a radical get up and make something happen faith. He said, with this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this